We're gonna do a quick video on why it doesn't work to eat one time a day. I've got 6 reasons why it just doesn't work eating one time a day. Intermittent fasting sounds wonderful. Fasting, great thing. On a daily basis, no good. Booba tuba. I've been trying it for the last few days and I've got some reports to get back to you. It just doesn't work for a lot of us, especially parents. Here's why. Oh yeah? It's gonna be a good video. Well, I lost my little assistant, but let's get right into this. 6 reasons why eating once a day just isn't gonna work for most of us. I'm not saying it won't work for you. I'm not gonna limit you in that regard, but it just didn't work for me that well, and I don't see it working that well for most parents and for most people in the world. Here's why. This one's a little bit funny to start off with, but the first one is emotional poise, because it actually is a benefit of this experiment and approach of eating once a day is you get to build your emotional awareness. You get to build your awareness of, hey, I'm feeling a little irritable. And oftentimes I eat food to overcome that emotion, or hey, I'm feeling stressed or worried or angry and I eat to overcome that. So this is a great experiment, eating once a day, limiting your food. That does help you with that aspect. Anytime you limit or restrict and make your diet more regimented, that's gonna give you a chance to notice those emotional pulls and those perhaps emotional bandages that you put on through food. That's all well and good, but the reason emotional poise is the #1 reason I say this approach doesn't work for most people is because unless you are really well practiced, you're gonna act in ways that you don't want to act around other people, simply because you did not eat enough food, not because you're not emotionally poised enough to hold off. I can hold off on eating, but I'm more irritable just because I haven't put the calories in. Not necessarily because I'm used to bandaging up or covering up, masking my emotions, but no, because I'm just really short on calories. And when we get short on calories, we start to get a little less than friendly. I think there's a term for it, hangry. And that first reason spills right into the second reason that eating once a day just doesn't work for most of us, is that the longer we go without eating, the more emotionally distraught or stressed we can get, emotionally unbalanced we can get. Simultaneously, we can get less discriminate. The longer you go without eating, the hungrier you get, the more that calorie deficit goes down or up. The larger that calorie deficit, the less discriminate we get, the hungrier we get, and oftentimes, so we're gonna go off track from even what we want to be eating on our diet, or the time we wanna eat, and then oftentimes we're gonna binge in that as well, because now we finally started eating, and it just opens up. The floodgates open up and we start eating. So binging often happens, craving, binging. The #3 reason why eating one time a day doesn't work for most of us is because most of us want to be more active than that. If you want to be active, I like to be active in the morning. So if I'm eating one time a day, my plan was to eat one time a day at 5 o'clock at night in the evening, and then I'm doing exercise at 8 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and I'm gonna wait all day to eat, and the best time for my body to absorb nutrients is right after physical activity. It just really, and if I tried to eat right after my physical activity at say 8 in the morning, that's gotta last me all the way throughout the day. That's not gonna happen. So I don't know about one time a day for someone who wants to be active. I don't know if anyone can really, I mean, I've done it, I can show you the video, but you can put in 3,000 calories in one meal. It's just not necessarily the most pleasant. Which brings us to the #4 reason why eating one time a day doesn't work. I don't get to eat these water-rich foods, the low caloric density foods. If you want to eat one time a day and you want to eat it off watermelon, good luck trying to eat 3,000 calories or 2,000 calories off of watermelon. You'll be eating for a while. And so that is a major detracting point for me, is I don't get to eat juicy, water-rich foods if I'm trying to eat one time a day. Ultimately, it's got to be more calorically dense. After trying it for a little while, it seems like you really have to try cooked food in order to make it to one meal a day. But I'd be curious to know if any of you out there have tried it on one time a day on raw food or raw vegan. It's a challenge. It really is a challenge to get in all the calories you need at one time a day. I have not been succeeding. Then again, I don't think it's a big deal to have 2 meals a day of healthy food. Back outside for reason #5. It doesn't work to eat one time a day if you've got kids or if you've got a schedule that is not very regimented. From what I've seen out there, my anecdotal experience has been the people who are succeeding at eating one time a day oftentimes don't have any kids. Their only responsibility is taking care of themselves. And my hat's off to those people. I had nothing negative about them. I mean, all the power to you. Kudos for taking care of yourself even when you don't see that immediate responsibility. I was ignorant. If I had been by myself, who knows what I would have done. But anyway, for those of us who do have kids, the reason the scheduling becomes such an issue is because you're trying to eat one time a day, and if things pop up and push your schedule back a few hours, that becomes a problem when you've already been pushing it back a few hours to eat. I found that trying to eat just one time a day just put an undue amount of pressure on my schedule to make sure my schedule stayed the way I wanted it to stay so I could actually eat when I wanted to eat. It really just put an undue stress on it. The last reason, I don't have my fingers to do it, I'm holding the camera. Number six. The last reason is socially. It doesn't work that well. Though many of us have already experienced by making dietary changes, by eating healthier, already you might ostracize yourself or put yourself in a different position than the people around you or your peers. That said, eating one time a day starts to put it to the extreme. I don't mind eating healthy food more frequently. If I'm at a party and there's healthy food, fruits and vegetables, good healthy made food, why can't I eat that? I personally don't see a reason to place such a limit on myself. So that's it. That's the reasons why I don't think eating one time a day doesn't work. That's why I don't eat one time a day. I tried it out. Go out and experiment with it for yourself if you really want to get a first-hand experience. Let me know if you have already experienced it in the comments below. Like this video if you like it, share it around, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and let me share at least what I'm doing so I don't leave you in the dark. It just doesn't work eating one time a day. No, there's a solution too. Let's just not, I don't want to just tear things down without offering a solution. What I'm finding works for me is 2 to 3 meals a day. Ultimately for me, 2 meals a day seems to work best. First meal coming around 10 to 11 o'clock, and then the next meal coming around 5 to 6 o'clock. And that allows me to eat a raw vegan diet if I want, or I could eat a cooked vegan diet. You could do either one with this approach because you can actually get 1,500 calories in at one meal and 1,500 calories in at another meal if you were so athletic or you were so inclined to be that active. But it makes the stress level come way down, and like I said, 3 meals a day is okay. If I'm eating watermelon for my first meal a day, that can't be a big deal. I mean, the goal of intermittent fasting, the goal of eating one time a day is to alleviate the digestive system. It's to free up energy so you can do more things, so you can allow more healing, allow more mental prowess to occur. That's the goal, is to reduce the digestive load. Well, if you're sitting down for 1 meal a day and you've got beans and rice and all this other concoctions to put in at one meal, I actually argue that based upon the fact that every other creature in the globe eats one food at a time when they're hungry until they're full. You only got one stomach too. I argue that we get way more digestive efficiency out of putting simple meals into our stomach. And then to accommodate variety, we need to eat a couple times throughout the day. So digestive effort comes down when we're eating fruits and vegetables, and yet we haven't turned it off entirely. We haven't reached fasting state, and neither have those people on intermittent fasting. Waiting 18 hours, waiting 20 hours, fine. Maybe you finally dipped to the point where your body has turned off the digestive system, but not likely if you put in a whole concoction of rice, beans, and all that whole concoction in there at one time. Your body's going to be digesting for a while. Fats take 12 to 14 hours to move the digestive system, so your body is still active for quite some time digesting food. And if you put watermelon in there, for me, it's not that big of a deal. So eat a few times a day. That's my recommendation. Just make them healthy. Just make them healthy. Eat as much as you need. When you're hungry, eat food. As long as it's healthy food, it's a winning situation. Until the next video, live joyously, parent passionately, family. What are you so giddy about, huh? What are you so happy about? Go out and experiment with it. Why am I stumbling so much? Must be hungry.